Some of you who may have been listening to our series that we've been dealing concerning the rapture may say, all right, I've heard what you have to say, but I've got some problems with what you're saying. For example, when the sixth seal is broken in Revelation chapter 6, there are all different kinds of cosmic disturbances which will take place on the face of the earth. And you will have unsaved people running to the mountains and the caves and asking them to fall upon them to hide them. Let me read the passage for you from Revelation chapter 6, and we begin with verse 12. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? And some of you perhaps are saying, look, isn't this indicating that this is where the great day of God's wrath begins? And up to this point, there is no wrath of God. Or some would even say, well, this is saying that the great day of his wrath is about to come, and then would say that God's wrath begins with the breaking of the seventh seal over in chapter 8 and verse 1. And that therefore you don't have the great day of God's wrath in the first four seals whatsoever. What do we do with this? Well, first, let me take you to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, where the Apostle Paul gives some very specific revelation as to how the future day of the Lord with its wrath will begin. He says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 2, For yourselves know perfectly, accurately, that the day of the Lord so comes as a thief in the night. The idea here is that the day of the Lord is going to catch the unsaved people totally off guard. There will be no forewarning of any kind at all that the day of the Lord is coming upon them. It will catch them totally by surprise. No thief who is worth his salt will send a forewarning ahead of time to his intended victim and inform him that he intends to break into his home on such and such a day at such and such an hour to rob him of his possessions. Good thieves rely upon the element of surprise to catch their intended victims totally off guard. So the point here is no forewarnings of the day of the Lord coming upon the unsaved. Those who say that with the breaking of the sixth seal and the unsaved calling for the mountains and rocks to fall upon them because the great day of his wrath is come, say, well, this is saying that his wrath is about to come. They claim that the sixth seal is a forewarning, a precursor to them, that the wrath of God is about to come. But that contradicts what Paul says in 1 Thessalonians 5 concerning the beginning of the day of the Lord with its wrath. He's indicating there will be no forewarnings, no precursors to the unsaved, that the day of the Lord is about to come. It's going to hit them without any forewarning, catch them totally by surprise, just like a thief who comes in the night when you're not expecting him to rob you of your possessions. In addition, Paul says here in verse 3 of 1 Thessalonians 5, For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail, literally as the birth pang upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Paul is saying that the day of the Lord will come, and the Greek indicates at the same time that they are saying, we have peace, we have safety. When they are convinced that they have finally established peace and safety in the world, That's when the day of the Lord is going to break in upon them and give them just the opposite of what they think they have. They're going to receive incredible destruction as the wrath of God begins to be poured out upon them. We noted when we looked at the first seal in Revelation chapter 6 that the rider on the white horse, the false Messiah, goes out conquering to conquer. That implies warfare, lack of peace. We also noted with the second seal in Revelation chapter 6 that with the breaking of the second seal, peace is removed from the face of the earth. Notice that's several seals before the sixth seal. And peace being removed from the earth there, and when you begin reading from the second seal and read on right up through the second coming of Christ in Revelation 19, there is no peace, lasting peace and safety upon the face of the earth, through all the rest of the seals, through the seven trumpet judgments, and through the seven bowl judgments. Now, we noted earlier that these first four seals are the same as the beginning of birth pangs, and that Christ seemed to put the beginning of birth pangs in the first half of the 70th week. We have a false Messiah going out to wage war with the first seal. We have peace be removed with the second seal. Those are early in the beginning of birth pangs. That puts them early in the first half of the 70th week, which I'm convinced indicates that the day of the Lord actually begins at the beginning of the 70th week, not sometime later when the sixth seal is broken, or at another time when there's a trumpet judgment or something to that effect. That the day of the Lord will be taking place even with the beginning of the first seal, and certainly by the breaking of the second seal there in the book of Revelation.